As we've said, there's one other candidate in the race for Attorney General in Missouri. St. Louis area attorney Ryan Monroe is also on the ballot, running as a Libertarian candidate, though he tells me he doesn't consider himself a Libertarian, rather an independent candidate who's against using the AG's office for political gain. And he called out Attorney General Andrew Bailey.
Obviously, when you're doing the job, you're kind of campaigning to begin with, but when you're doing it the way he is, when you're, fighting battles, way out of state that don't really support, Missourians and their rights and impact individual Missourian lives, you're really just impacting your own life and your own campaign.
Let's get to the heart of the Attorney General's race with KMBC9 political reporter Michael Mahoney and Jason Hancock, editor-in-chief of the Missouri Independent. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Jason, the theme we're hearing from every candidate but Andrew Bailey is that the Attorney General should refocus his efforts on Missouri matters.
Yeah, and that's been obviously a criticism not just for Andrew Bailey, but also his predecessors in that office who kind of built their brand in a lot of ways is suing the federal government. And so Andrew Bailey, that's been his focus, is sort of taking on the Biden administration, or that's how he would phrase it. But, the criticism is that there are things that the sort of blocking and tackling of the Attorney General's office that is sort of falling by the wayside. You see late filings, deadlines missed. There was a consumer advocate case down in Springfield that no one from the Attorney General's office showed up to. So folks are sort of conflating the two, that if the focus is fighting the federal government, they're not doing the job here in Missouri. And that's going to be a criticism that Bailey's going to have to fend off all the way through Election Day.
And he's done that successfully so far in this race, as we heard in the interview with the Democrat, Mr. Gross in there. He also believes that the Attorney General Bailey has been neglectful for some of the Missouri issues and Gross wants to beef up civil rights. He wants a public corruption unit, those sorts of things. So this is a constant theme of the critics of Andrew Bailey in this race.
Yeah, let's talk about Alon Gross, Mahoney, just for a second. He posted a comprehensive plan online for his platform, really kind of spelling out, as you said, trying to fight corruption. Scam calls, he said, was one of the number one issues that Missouri voters are worried about.
It was the number one issue.
Yeah. Is he going to get any traction with voters this year, do you think?
I'm not sure. This is a very red state. Andrew Bailey performed pretty well against a well-financed opponent, Will Schaaf, in the primary. It's an uphill battle for sure, especially given the climate of the politics in Missouri.
Mm-hmm. Jason, we have some pretty progressive measures when it comes to amendments down the ballot. Does that help turnout in this race anymore for the Democratic challenger?
I think it probably helps some of the lower down the ballot races for state house or state senate. As far as these statewide races, I mean, Republicans have dominated the statewide races for, at least the last decade or so. Like Mahoney said, it's going to be an uphill battle for Elad Gross. He's got a lot less money than a guy who just got beat by, 30 percentage points in the primary and spent 8 figures trying to take on Andrew Bailey. So it's definitely an uphill battle. I know he's putting some miles on his car trying to get his name out there and trying to kind of latch himself to some of these popular ballot measures. But yeah, I think Andrew Bailey is definitely the odds-on favorite. The smart money would be on him, holding on and serving a full term.
Mm-hmm. Mahoney, final word on the race.
I echo what Jason is saying there, that the prohibitive favorite is Andrew Bailey. And the one quick response, Bailey says his lawsuits defending Trump are to make sure that he can campaign. Well, Donald Trump's done a pretty good job of campaigning, even with the legal problems.
All right, we'll leave it there. Michael Mahoney, Jason Hancock, thank you very much. Get the facts about key races and ballot issues with Heart of the Matter and KMBC9 News. We'll gear you up for Election Day on air and online at KMBC.com.